The vast emptiness of space stretched out before the Imperial patrol ship Starfire. Its sleek, silver hull gleamed in the light of distant stars as it glided through the galaxy. Captain Zorn stood on the bridge, his 4 eyes scanning the various screens around him. His antenna twitched with boredom. It was just another routine patrol in a quiet sector of the Empire. "Sir, we're picking up something unusual," called out Lieutenant Vex, her tentacles flying over the control panel. "It seems to be a previously uncharted solar system." Captain Zorn's interest perked up. "Uncharted, you say? How did we miss this before?" "It appears to be in a pocket of space that our long-range scanners couldn't penetrate," Vex replied. "We're only detecting it now because we're so close." Zorn nodded, his curiosity growing. "Very well. Take us in for a closer look." As the Starfire approached the mysterious solar system, the crew's excitement grew. They hadn't made a new discovery in years. Most of the galaxy had already been mapped and claimed by the Empire. "Sir, we've identified 8 planets orbiting the yellow dwarf star," reported Vex. "The 3rd planet from the star shows signs of life." "Life? Now that is interesting," Zorn mused. "What kind of life are we talking about?" Vex studied her readings. "It appears to be a civilization, sir, but—" She paused, confusion evident in her voice. "But what, Lieutenant?" Zorn prodded. "The technology level is inconsistent," Vex said. "We're detecting primitive combustion engines and basic electronics, but there's also evidence of more advanced technology, though it's faint and scattered." Zorn stroked his chin thoughtfully. Curious indeed. Perhaps a dying civilization, or one just beginning to advance. He made a decision. "We'll need to investigate further. Prepare a report for Imperial Command. I want to request permission for first contact." Over the next few days, the Starfire continued to orbit the blue and green planet, which the inhabitants called Earth. They intercepted radio and television broadcasts, learning about the planet's diverse cultures and languages. "These humans are an odd bunch," Zorn remarked as he watched a reality TV show with a mix of fascination and horror. "They seem to spend a lot of time on trivial matters." "But they also show potential, sir," Vex pointed out. "Look at their scientific achievements. They've sent primitive probes to other planets in their system. They're on the verge of faster-than-light travel, even if they don't realize it yet." Zorn nodded. "True. They could be useful to the Empire, with proper guidance, of course." Finally, after a week of observation, the response came from Imperial Command. The holographic image of Grand Admiral Salax appeared on the bridge. "Captain Zorn," the Grand Admiral's gravelly voice filled the room. "Your discovery is most intriguing. The Empire has decided to make first contact with this Earth." Zorn straightened, feeling a surge of pride. "Thank you, sir. We're honored to." "However," Salax interrupted, "given the primitive nature of this civilization, we see no need for diplomatic niceties. You are to begin preparations for annexation immediately." Zorn's antenna drooped slightly. "Annexation, sir? Don't you think that's a bit hasty?" Salax's eyes narrowed. "Are you questioning Imperial policy, Captain?" "No, sir." Zorn quickly backpedaled. "Of course not. We'll begin preparations at once." As the hologram flickered out, Zorn turned to his crew. They all looked uneasy. First contacts were always tricky, but outright conquest. That hadn't been the Empire's style for centuries. "You heard the Admiral," Zorn said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "Prepare the ship for combat operations. Send word to the rest of the fleet. We move on Earth in 48 hours. As the crew scrambled to obey, Zorn gazed at the beautiful blue planet on the main view screen. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something important. But orders were orders, and the Empire had spoken. Little did they know, Earth had a few surprises in store for its would-be conquerors. The Imperial fleet hung in space like a swarm of metallic insects. Hundreds of ships, from nimble fighters to massive dreadnoughts, surrounded the blue planet called Earth. Captain Zorn stood on the bridge of the Starfire, his antenna twitching nervously. "All ships report ready, sir," Lieutenant Vex announced. "We await your command to begin the invasion." Zorn nodded, his 4 eyes fixed on the view screen. "Very well. Commence the—" Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. Red lights flashed, and the crew rushed to their stations. "What's happening?" Zorn demanded. Vex's tentacles flew over her console. "Sir, we're detecting massive energy spikes from the planet's surface and its moon." Before Zorn could respond, the space around Earth shimmered. Like a veil being lifted, a vast network of satellites and defense platforms appeared, surrounding the planet in a protective web. "Impossible," Zorn whispered. "Our scans showed nothing like this." But the surprises weren't over. From behind Earth's moon, a fleet of ships emerged. They were sleek, gleaming vessels that looked nothing like the primitive rockets the humans had been using. These ships were clearly advanced, possibly even more so than the Empire's own. "Sir," Vex's voice trembled, "I'm counting over 1,000 Earth ships. They have us surrounded." Zorn's mind raced. How could they have missed this? How could a supposedly primitive planet hide such advanced technology? A transmission cut through the chaos on the bridge. A human face appeared on the screen. A woman with dark skin and determined eyes. "This is Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Force," she said, her voice calm but firm. "You are trespassing in Earth space. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded, or we will open fire." Zorn's antenna drooped in disbelief. This was not how things were supposed to go. The Empire had never faced such a situation before. "This must be some kind of trick," he muttered. "Lieutenant, scan those ships. They can't be real." Vex obeyed, but her readings only confirmed their worst fears. "Sir, the Earth vessels are real. And they're more advanced than anything in our database." Outside, the Earth fleet moved with incredible precision. Fighters zipped between the larger ships, their maneuvers far outclassing the Imperial pilots. "Sir," one of the crew called out, "some of our ships are trying to flee. The Earth vessels are. They're just disabling them. With some kind of energy weapon we've never seen before." Zorn watched in awe as Earth ships effortlessly neutralized Imperial vessels many times their size. It was like watching children's toys being swatted aside. How? He wondered aloud. How did they hide all this? As if in answer, Admiral Chen's face reappeared on the screen. "I imagine you have questions, Captain," she said, a hint of a smile on her face. "We've been watching the stars for a long time, waiting for first contact. We hoped it would be peaceful, but we prepared for the worst." She paused, her expression growing serious. "We hid our true capabilities because we knew there might be threats out there. It seems we were right to be cautious." Zorn's mind spun. Everything they thought they knew about Earth was wrong. This wasn't a primitive world ripe for conquest. This was a technological powerhouse that had fooled the entire Galactic Empire. What do you want from us?" Zorn asked, his usual confidence shattered. Admiral Chen's reply was simple. "We want to talk. But first, you need to stand down. This is your final warning." As Zorn looked around at his terrified crew, he knew he had only one choice. With a heavy heart, he gave the order. "All ships, power down weapons. We surrender." As the mighty Imperial fleet went dark, outmatched and outsmarted, the true scale of Earth's deception began to dawn on them. The galaxy would never be the same again. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Captain Zorn stood nervously in the airlock of the Starfire, waiting for it to open. Behind him, a small group of his officers shuffled uneasily. They were about to meet the humans face to face for the first time. With a soft hiss, the airlock doors slid open. Zorn's 4 eyes widened as he took in the sight before him. A group of humans stood in the docking bay, led by Admiral Chen. They looked so similar, yet so alien. "Welcome aboard the EDS Horizon, Captain Zorn," Admiral Chen said, her voice firm but not unkind. "I trust you and your officers will behave as our guests." Zorn nodded, his antenna twitching. We will comply with your wishes, Admiral." As they walked through the ship, Zorn couldn't help but marvel at the technology around him. The corridors were bright and clean, with holographic displays floating in the air. It was far beyond anything the Empire had. They entered a large room that Zorn guessed was their command center. A massive holographic display of the solar system dominated the center, showing the positions of both fleets. "Now then," Admiral Chen said, turning to face the Imperial officers, "let's talk about why you're here and what happens next." Zorn swallowed hard. We were sent to annex your world. We thought you were primitive. Clearly, we were mistaken." A murmur ran through the human officers. Admiral Chen's eyes narrowed. "Annex? You mean conquer, don't you?" Before Zorn could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. The holographic display flashed red, zooming in on a section of space. "Admiral," a human officer called out, "we got multiple ships dropping out of FTL. It's the rest of the Imperial fleet." Zorn's antenna perked up. Reinforcements. Maybe the Empire still had a chance. Admiral Chen turned to him, her eyes blazing. "Did you call for backup, Captain?" Zorn shook his head frantically. "No. This must be the rest of the invasion force. They were supposed to arrive after we secured the planet." Outside, space lit up as hundreds of Imperial ships appeared. Leading them was the massive dreadnought of Grand Admiral Xalax. A booming voice filled the room as Xalax's hologram appeared. "This is Grand Admiral Xalax of the Galactic Empire. Surrender now, primitive world, or face total annihilation." Admiral Chen didn't miss a beat. She turned to her officers. "Battle stations. Activate the Aegis shield. Prepare all ships for combat." The room erupted into action. Zorn watched in awe as the humans moved with practiced efficiency. On the display, he saw Earth's hidden fleet moving to engage the Imperial forces. "You don't understand," Zorn said to Chen. "That's the Empire's main battle fleet. You can't possibly." His words were cut off as the battle began. Earth's ships moved with incredible speed and precision, dancing between the larger Imperial vessels. Their energy weapons sliced through Imperial shields like they weren't even there. "Impossible." Xalax's hologram sputtered. "How are they? All ships, concentrate fire on." His image flickered and disappeared as the Horizon's weapons found their mark. The Imperial dreadnought's lights flickered and went dark. In less than an hour, it was over. The mighty Imperial fleet, terror of 1,000 worlds, hung broken and defeated in space. Earth's ships had suffered minimal damage. Admiral Chen turned to Zorn, who stood slack-jawed at the display. "Now then, Captain, I believe we were discussing terms." Zorn could only nod numbly. In one day, everything had changed. The Empire had been humbled, and Earth had emerged as a power unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. As Zorn looked at the determined faces of the humans around him, he realized that this was just the beginning. The galaxy would never be the same again, and somehow, he knew that might not be such a bad thing. News of the Empire's defeat spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On countless worlds, in smoky bars and grand palaces alike, beings of all shapes and sizes huddled around holoscreens, watching in disbelief as the footage of the battle played over and over. On the desert world of Talos Prime, a group of furry, six-legged creatures called Talaxians gathered in their underground city's main square. Their leader, Chief Zorax, addressed the crowd. "For centuries, we have lived in fear of the Empire," Zorax said, his voice echoing through the cavern. "But now, these humans have shown us that the Empire is not invincible." Cheers erupted from the crowd. Hope, long suppressed, began to bloom in their hearts. Meanwhile, in the gleaming towers of Centrum, the capital world of the Galactic Empire, panic gripped the Imperial court. Emperor Zax VI, A tall, pale being with 4 arms sat on his crystal throne, surrounded by nervous advisors. How could this happen? The Emperor demanded, his voice cold with rage. How could one primitive world defeat our mightiest fleet? Grand Vizier Quell, an old wise alien with skin like polished wood, stepped forward. Your Majesty, it appears we gravely underestimated the humans. Our initial scans were deceived by their cloaking technology. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. And what of Grand Admiral Xalax? Where is he? An uncomfortable silence fell over the court. Finally, Quell spoke. Captured, Your Majesty, along with most of the surviving fleet commanders. Emperor Zaxbi stood, his robes shimmering with barely contained energy. This is unacceptable. We must strike back, show these humans the true might of the Empire. But even as he spoke, reports were coming in from across the galaxy. The Talaxians had declared independence. The crystal mines of Betelgeuse V were in open revolt. Dozens of systems, emboldened by Earth's victory, were rising up against imperial rule. Back on Earth, in the gleaming halls of the United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva, Admiral Chen stood before the Global Council. The room was packed with leaders from every nation, all eager to hear her report. The battle was decisive, Chen said, her voice calm but filled with pride. We've shown the galaxy that humanity is a force to be reckoned with, but this is just the beginning. She gestured, and a holographic map of the galaxy appeared, dotted with countless stars. We're receiving transmissions from worlds across the Empire. Many are seeking our help, our protection. Some are offering alliances. The president of the Global Council, a tall woman with graying hair, leaned forward. And what do you recommend, Admiral? Chen's eyes swept the room. We have a choice to make. We can isolate ourselves, focus on defending Earth, or we can step onto the galactic stage, help shape a new order. Murmurs filled the room as the council members debated. Finally, the president spoke again. And the prisoners, what have we learned from them? A smile tugged at Chen's lips. A great deal, Madam President. Captain Zorn, in particular, has been cooperative. He's painting a picture of an empire rotten from within, ripe for change. As the council continued their discussions far above the Earth's surface, Captain Zorn sat in his comfortable but secure quarters aboard the space station Unity. He stared out the window at the blue-green planet below, lost in thought. A part of him still couldn't believe how quickly everything had changed. The Empire, which had seemed eternal and unshakable, was now teetering on the brink of collapse. And these humans, whom they had dismissed as primitives, were revealing themselves to be sophisticated, powerful, and surprisingly merciful. Zorn's antenna twitched as he considered his options. Perhaps, he thought, it was time to consider a new allegiance. The age of the Empire was ending. The age of humanity was just beginning. As night fell across the Earth, lights twinkled on its surface and in the orbital habitats above. Humanity slept, unaware that their actions had set in motion events that would reshape the very fabric of galactic civilization. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter that night, as if in anticipation of the grand adventures to come. The sleek Earth ship Emissary glided through the stars, its advanced engines humming quietly. On board, Ambassador Sarah Lee stood before a mirror, adjusting her formal uniform. Today was a big day, Earth's first official diplomatic mission to an alien world. Ambassador, we're approaching Xirax Prime. Captain Rodriguez's voice came over the intercom. We'll be landing in 20 minutes. Sarah took a deep breath. Thank you, Captain. I'll be right there. As she walked to the bridge, Sarah thought about how much had changed in just a few months. Earth had gone from an unknown world to a major galactic player. Now, they were reaching out to other civilizations, offering friendship and protection from the crumbling empire. The emissary landed smoothly on Xirax Prime, a world of towering crystal forests and purple skies. As Sarah stepped out, she was met by a group of Xiraxians, tall, elegant beings with shimmering, translucent skin. Welcome to Xirax Prime, Ambassador Lee, the lead Xeraxian, said, bowing slightly. I am High Counselor Zix. We are honored by your visit. Sarah bowed in return. The honor is ours, High Counselor. We come in peace and friendship. As they walked towards the Crystal Palace, Zix spoke quietly. We have heard much about Earth's victory over the Empire. Many worlds are talking about it. Some with hope, others with concern. Sarah nodded. She had expected this. We understand, High Counselor. That's why we're here, to open a dialogue, to show that Earth wants to be a friend, not a conqueror. Inside the palace, Sarah presented Earth's proposal to the Xeraxian Council. She spoke of trade, cultural exchange, and mutual defense. The Xeraxians listened intently, their crystal-like eyes shimmering with interest. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, other Earth ships were on similar missions. On the desert world of Talos Prime, Earth engineers were helping the Talaxians improve their water recycling systems. In the bustling space markets of Omega Station, Earth traders were introducing new goods and technologies, quickly gaining popularity. But not all reactions were positive. On some worlds, there was fear and suspicion of this new power. The Krax Imperium, a longtime ally of the Galactic Empire, viewed Earth's rise with alarm. In a secret meeting on the Krax homeworld, General Kraz addressed his war council. These humans are a threat to the natural order, he growled, his scaled skin bristling. We must stand with the Empire against them. Back on Earth, in the United Earth Government headquarters, Admiral Chen was in a heated discussion with the Global Council. We're spreading ourselves too thin, one counselor argued. We should focus on defending Earth, not playing galactic police. Chen shook her head. If we don't step up, the power vacuum left by the Empire will lead to chaos. We have a responsibility to help shape a more just galaxy. The debate raged on, but Earth continued its diplomatic push. They reached out to subjugated races, offering freedom and alliance. They approached neutral worlds, proposing trade deals and cultural exchanges. Slowly but surely, Earth was building a network of allies across the stars. On the Empire's capital world, Centrum, Emperor HFY watched these developments with growing anger. These humans think they can replace us. He snarled to his advisors. We'll show them the true might of the Empire. But even as he spoke, more systems were declaring independence. The Empire's grip on the galaxy was slipping, and Earth was there to catch the falling pieces. As the emissary left Xerax Prime, with a freshly signed alliance treaty on board, Sarah Lee looked out at the stars. She thought about the enormous responsibility Earth had taken on, and the challenges that lay ahead. But she also felt a surge of excitement. Humanity had dreamed of the stars for centuries, and now they were not just reaching them, but reshaping the very fabric of galactic society. The ship jumped to faster than light speed, disappearing in a flash of light. Across the galaxy, the news spread. Earth was extending a hand of friendship to all. A new era of galactic politics had begun, with humanity at its center. The Imperial Palace on Centrum was alive with activity. Soldiers marched through its grand halls, and the air buzzed with tension. In the war room, Emperor HFY stood before a massive holographic display of the galaxy, his 4 arms crossed behind his back. The time has come, he announced to his generals. We will crush these upstart humans and remind the galaxy why the Empire has ruled for 1,000 years. General Kraz of the Krax Imperium stepped forward, his scaled skin gleaming in the dim light. My Emperor, the Krax fleet stands ready to join your assault. We will teach these humans their place. Across the galaxy, on Earth, alarms blared in the United Earth Defense Headquarters. Admiral Chen rushed into the command center, her face grim. Report, she barked. A young officer looked up from his console, his face pale. Admiral, we're detecting massive fleet movements across Imperial space. They're all heading towards Earth. Chen's eyes narrowed. She had expected this, but not so soon. Alert all our allies. Activate the Aegis Defense Network, and get me the Global Council. Now. As Earth prepared for battle, its allies rallied to its aid. Ships from a dozen worlds joined the Earth Defense Fleet. The Xeraxians sent their advanced shield technology. The Talaxians offered their expertise in stealth tactics. In orbit around Earth, Captain Zorn watched the preparations from his quarters on the Unity station. His antenna twitched nervously. He had chosen to side with Earth, providing valuable intelligence about Imperial tactics. Now he was about to witness the greatest battle in galactic history. The Imperial fleet arrived in a massive flash of light, thousands of ships filling the space around Earth. At their head was the Imperator, the Emperor's personal dreadnought, twice the size of any other ship in the fleet. Emperor HFY's voice boomed across all frequencies. Humans, your brief rebellion ends now. Surrender, and we may show mercy. Resist, and we will turn your world to ash. For a moment, silence reigned. Then, Admiral Chen's voice responded, calm and determined. We will not surrender. Earth stands ready, and we are not alone. It is you, Emperor, who should consider surrendering. With those words, the battle began. The space around Earth lit up with weapons fire. Imperial ships charged forward, only to be met by the combined Earth Alliance fleet. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Earth's advanced technology clashed with the Empire's superior numbers. Fighters darted between capital ships, while massive dreadnoughts exchanged planet-shattering blows. On the Imperator's bridge, Emperor HFY watched in growing frustration. How are they matching us? We outnumber them 10-1. But numbers weren't everything. Earth's ships moved with incredible coordination, their tactics constantly shifting. Every time the Imperial fleet thought they had the upper hand, the humans would unveil a new trick. Huge holographic projections appeared, confusing Imperial targeting systems. Swarms of automated drones disrupted formation after formation. And all the while, Earth's allies struck at the Empire's flanks, slowly but surely turning the tide. As the battle raged, Captain Zorn worked tirelessly in Unity's command center, helping coordinate Earth's defenses. He watched in awe as the humans fought with a mix of advanced technology and unpredictable creativity that the Empire simply couldn't match. Hours passed, and the space around Earth became a graveyard of broken ships. But slowly, surely, the Earth Alliance gained the upper hand. The Imperial formations began to break apart, their coordinated assault turning into a chaotic retreat. Finally, Admiral Chen's voice rang out once more. Emperor HFY, your attack has failed. Your fleet is in ruins. Surrender now, and we will spare the lives of your remaining forces. On the Imperator, Emperor HFY stared at the tactical display in disbelief. His great armada, the pride of the Empire, lay broken before him. With a heavy heart, he gave the order he never thought he'd utter. All ships, stand down. The Empire surrenders. As the news spread across the galaxy, cheers erupted on countless worlds. The seemingly invincible Galactic Empire had been defeated, and Earth stood triumphant. But even as they celebrated, Admiral Chen and the Earth leadership knew that the real work was just beginning. They had won the war, but now they had to win the peace. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what this new Earth-led era would bring. The Grand Hall of the newly established Galactic Council on Earth buzzed with excitement. Representatives from hundreds of worlds filled the room, their diverse forms a testament to the vastness of the galaxy. At the center of it all stood Admiral Chen, now serving as Earth's representative to this new galactic government. Order, please, Chen called out, her voice carrying across the hall. Today we begin a new chapter in galactic history. The age of empire is over. The age of cooperation and mutual respect has begun. As Chen spoke, screens around the hall showed scenes from across the galaxy. On Centrum, the former imperial capital, Emperor HFY signed a treaty officially dissolving the Galactic Empire. On Xerax Prime, humans and Xeraxians worked side by side to build new cities with advanced Earth technology. On Talos Prime, Talaxian children played with holographic toys, gifts from their new Earth allies. But not all was peaceful. On some worlds, former Imperial loyalists resisted the new order. The Crax Imperium, bitter about their defeat, closed their borders and threatened war. We face many challenges, Chen continued. But together, we can overcome them. Earth doesn't seek to rule, but to lead by example. We propose a galactic federation, where all worlds have a voice. The hall erupted in discussion. Some representatives cheered the idea, while others looked skeptical. In the back of the room, Captain Zorn watched with interest. He had been granted asylum on Earth, and now served as an advisor on Imperial affairs. It won't be easy, Zorn muttered to himself, but it's a noble goal. As the Council debated, Earth continued to share its technology with its allies. Faster-than-light drives were improved, making travel between distant stars easier than ever. Medical advancements from a dozen worlds were combined, leading to cures for diseases that had plagued galaxies for centuries. But Earth's greatest export wasn't technology. It was ideas. Concepts like democracy, freedom of speech, and equal rights spread across the stars. Many worlds, freed from imperial rule, embraced these new ideas eagerly. Months passed, and slowly, a new galactic society began to take shape. Trade flourished between worlds that had once been bitter enemies. Cultural exchanges led to new forms of art and music that blended styles from across the galaxy. On a small, peaceful world at the edge of known space, Sarah Lee, now a senior diplomat, met with a group of former Imperial citizens. They were refugees, uncertain of their place in this new galaxy. Earth isn't perfect, Sarah told them, her voice gentle. We've made many mistakes in our history, but we've learned from them. We believe everyone deserves a chance at a better life, including you. Her words spread hope among the refugees. Many of them would go on to become productive citizens of the new Galactic Federation, their unique skills and perspectives enriching their adopted worlds. Back on Earth, in a quiet garden outside the Galactic Council Hall, Admiral Chen stood with Captain Zorn, looking up at the stars. Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this? Chen asked. Zorn's antenna twitched in amusement. Never in a million years. We thought we were coming to conquer a primitive world. Instead, you've conquered the galaxy, not with weapons, but with ideas. Chen smiled. Not conquered. United. We still have a long way to go, but for the first time, I truly believe we're on the right path. As they watched, a ship took off from the nearby spaceport, heading for the stars. It carried a mixed crew, humans, Zeraxians, Talaxians, and even some former Imperials. They were explorers, seeking out new worlds and new civilizations at the edge of known space. The age of empire was over. The age of Earth had begun, and with it came the promise of a brighter future for all beings across the galaxy. As the ship disappeared into the night sky, Chen and Zorn shared a nod of understanding. The greatest adventure was just beginning.